Hey everybody! Well, I am bringing a short video tonight via the request of a long-time subscriber of mine, one of my peoples, and yes, I did say the S word, because she's been on my channel, oh my gosh, I believe since the beginning. Let me get a drink of water. And now that I'm back into sewing, she asked me on other social media if I could show her how to mend a hole in clothing. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So one thing that I was practicing earlier was I took a piece of fabric, and this before we get to the hole, like holy fabric she's been, and this is my scrap fabric, so you can just take your scrap fabric, do whatever with it, like make little ruffles, like they're actually on a garment that would look completely different, the little ruffles. But if you see how like I sewed it from back here, and I'll show you how I did that. And then right here where this part is, where like you would make, this would be actually the part for like the ruffled sleeve or the balloon sleeve. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So I've already threaded my needle. It looks like it's trying to be naughty again. I already tied a knot in there. It doesn't need to be any naughtier. So a lot of YouTube creators that literally sew by hand are the ones that do medieval costume work. Like, and I know I've mentioned Morgan Dahmer a lot lately, but she's one of them that will also show you how to sew by hand. And she does beautiful hand stitch work. You're awesome, Morgan. Anyway, first of all, we have the hole. So I hope that's the right size for you, Beth. I purposely cut it to about the circumference of what you asked. And that's my smaller finger going through there, but I don't have big fingers anyway. So, take this as the back of your fabric. And the only reason I'm using white is so this shows up. Now you want to get yourself some matching thread. And even if you're new at this, or you're just coming back to this, you're going to be able to whip stitch. And whip stitching is one of the most primarily used, and I used it when I was in 4-H. They didn't let me finish 4-H. Don't know why, but anyway, that's in the past. That was one of the primary stitches that we learned. Just take it, pull it through, and then don't tighten it too tight. You really don't want it tightened too tight, because if you tighten it too tight, it's going to bunch. And you really don't want it bunchy. Now, bunching, that is for other things, and I will show you that after I'm done with this. I really hope this helps you out, Beth. I was going to postpone to do it tomorrow because there was a lot of noise in the background earlier, and I was like, I want to get this video done before I go to bed. So, sorry for my sniffles. The weather's changing, and I have the sniffles. Sometimes I just say I'm allergic to people's BS. Especially when I sneeze. You should use that. So, when you do the whip stitching and you have an uneven part, try to match it as good as possible. And you really only want to pick up maybe just a tad bit of that fabric before you go over to the other side, and again pick up a tad bit of the fabric and stitch it through. Like, don't make your thread too long. And like I said, for the sake of this, I chose a non-matching thread so that you could actually see it as I'm hand sewing. And you may not see it when I'm done with this, but like I said, just like try to do this. Yep. Just a little that fabric. And now if you have a garment that's like so torn that it's uneven, and that's why I cut this uneven, and you don't have to worry about how much of the fabric you use up on the other part of the uneven, just go ahead and pull that down and then stitch over. If you know it's not going to really change. Now, different things like sweaters that get holes in them, you have to really stitch through that real careful. And when I do another sweater, or maybe I can thrift one, I'm not sure about that. I haven't gone to a thrift store in years. But like I said, I really hope this helps. This takes some patience. I'm going to tell you that. This takes some patience. Just like any sewing, it takes some patience. And hand sewing takes a lot more patience than your sewing machine because you have to sit there and do it real tedious. I could do it like Morgan did it, but I'm afraid it would kind of bunch because of the material I'm using. If you can hear that thunderstorm outside, we're having a thunderstorm. I'm enjoying it. Most people be like, what? Ugh. Okay. When I was a kid, we used to get the thunderstorms that came over the mountains, so if you got up early enough in the morning, and went outside, there would be deer and rabbit in your yard. Just had to be careful when there were rattlesnakes in your yard. Dropped there from the freaking magpie. Oh, magpies. I can't stand those birds. They're annoying. Now, if your thread just gets in a knot, just pull it back out. Use beeswax if you have it. I don't have any beeswax. I absolutely do need to get some. Remember which direction you were going to be able to keep this going to the end. And then when we're done with the whip stitch, now you can double whip stitch and go back over, but we're not going to do that. It's like towards the end of my day, and I really gotta get some sleep here soon. I'm sure a lot of you do. Towards the end of the day or the early part of your morning. So what I do is I take this and I wrap it around there 3 times because it's going to go into this loop. And then, come on, don't be naughty until you're a real knot. Anyway, and then you just clip the thread. Okay. And then your hole is seamed or hemmed back up. It depends on your fabric. This isn't a super stretch fabric. This is just not. This is a poly cotton, and this is what I made my shirt out of. But I had some scraps left, so I was like, oh, Beth needs this shown, let me show it, and it's all good. It's all good. I know I have to get used to wearing glasses. Looks weird. My next step is replacing my broken teeth. I'll tell you that. My next step, I have a fear of going to the dentist, but I gotta replace those teeth. I'm telling you. Okay. Now that I showed you that, and if you do want to tug it a little tighter than what I didn't tug it too tight because some clothing you don't want to tug it too tight because it's going to bunch. You can do that with specific stretchy fabrics because that has a little give to it. So let me put this one down and pick up the other scrap fabric right here, which I made sure to take out just for you guys. Yeah, you're just lovely people. And even the people that give me the thumbs down, thank you for the watch time. Yep. Thank you for my watch time. So, what I'm going to show you here is, I'm not really worried about this. I can have this into my shirt. So, I just want to take now, this was supposed to be one of those collars originally for the shirt, but now it doesn't need that. Right? So I've scrapped those pieces and I've decided, okay, well, just gonna use it to stuff a stuffed animal, which none of you have told me. If you want me to show you how to make a stuffed animal, put that in the comments below, please. So, my needle here. So, one thing I will show you is something that, like, I was watching Morgan, and you guys really gotta go check her out because she is so awesome. I think in the sewing community, we just like have certain people that we just flock to. Birds of a feather sew together. Anyway, so, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take your needle in from the back, right here, take it in from the back, pull that through. And that's why I took it really close to this part, just to throw it, pull it through like that. Now, you're not always going to have the end stitch on something, unless of course you pre-stitched it on a machine, and not everybody has a machine. And that's why I want to show you something. Now, this is something that I've done, and I believe Morgan has done. Is go ahead and take your needle and just push it through the fabric, bring it back through, and then what you're going to do at this point, see that going on there, right? Bib Mom, that'll help you too. See, another person in the sewing community. I don't know if with Wendy does this, or Annika Victoria, or Coolerpa, but when I was just like messing around with this, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's just a perfect way just for me to be able to just bring this in and just pull it, and it gives you that, it basically gives you this. So when you do that, it just gathers it in. If you're going to do a skirt, obviously you're going to space them more. unless you really want it super bunchy. Not everybody wants it super bunchy. So just take that again, take stitches back and forth through your material. And now I've seen Morgan do this for other stitch, but you can also use it to bunch your material and get that good puffy sleeve thing going. Look, just pull it and you get that good puffy sleeve thing going. And then what I do is just like try to pull it as much as possible to just like where you want that, right there. And then bring it back on itself. Bring it back on itself from this side. And the reason you're going to do that is because this is going to hide everything. It's going to hide everything. Now make sure that you bring it through the bunched parts, because you do not want to miss one. And then pull it, and look, you got a little bunchiness going on there. Put that to the camera, that would help. You got a little bunchiness going on there. And that helps. Now I noticed that helps with like gathering. Like if you still need to gather it a little more, you can pull it on this end and then continue to gather. Sewing can be rather fun if that's something that you're into. I mean, I'm into it, obviously. This so makes me happy. So 2 and 3. Now some people do this 4 times. I always do it in 3. I always feel like good things come in 3. Power of 3. Maybe that's just 3 of my tattoos. I don't know. And then just put your knot in. And then clip your thread. And then you have that little bunchy part right there. Just right there. I mean, look at that. Like, let's say if you were doing a full skirt and you wanted that puffy, or you were doing a puffy sleeve, that would work for a puffy sleeve perfectly for your puffy sleeve because it's gathered. The other thing in this will be the one stitch that I showed you can be used for 2 things. It can be used for just a regular straight stitch through until you're ready to do your other stitches, or even your whip stitch, just to hold it steady. Steady. Like I said, you know, just it can be used for that. You know, just definitely bring it through from the one side. Pull. Of course, there's nothing out there for that. Make sure that your knot is thick enough. Right now, that's just the fabric. I'm trying to talk. Say, hey, this is not thick enough. I haven't had a problem too much with this, and my sewing machine only is a little bit. Okay. As you can see, I only had a little bit of a problem with my sewing machine. That's until I adjusted it. Okay, this is what I remember doing, and then what I was watching Morgan doing, with doing her straight stitch by hand. Now, she pulled a few more stitches than this, but I'm just going to show you this, and this should just show up on camera. Right there. Straight stitches right there. I mean, you should check out some of these sewing channels like Bib Mom Sews, Annika Victoria. Definitely check out I'm going to do a couple more of those just to show you. Just bring it through like I showed you the other one, except for we're not going to bunch the fabric. We're going to keep the fabric straight. Make sure that the fabric and this is okay with each other. And basically, you have your straight stitch right here. And that's something that you would just do on a few things. Oh, I was going to say Morgan. And then there's With Wendy. I've been watching her a lot. She's up in Canada. Did not know that until I was really binge watching her videos. I will binge watch. If I go to a new channel, I will binge watch their videos. I feel like if you binge watch, you kind of like catch up on something that you may have missed. And oh yeah, little trick here. Take your finger and go like that, and it helps to put the thread. I'll show you that again. When you go to make your knot, take your finger like this. This is what I do. 2 and 3. Makes it easier for me. I don't know why, it just does. And then your knot. And you're not having to worry about that. And then your straight stitch stays in place. And the other one is, I was just like ruffling like them together, and that's what I was doing here. I told you guys I would show you this, like how I did this and then got it to ruffle. I was just messing around and I was like, you know what, let me try something and do it on this part where I know this is going to hold it. Bring it from the back again. Make sure you have your edge rolled over. That way it's a lot thicker when you're doing this. And now what I did is I took and just whip stitched down a few. Make sure not to poke your thumb, because that's not comfortable. I lightly poked my thumb with the needle, just like whip stitch down. I should probably angle my camera better. Do it again. Whip stitch down. This is your common, look like angled whip stitch, I would say, and it's like an under threading instead of an over threading. There's 2 ways to do that. You can like under thread, or you can just take it over the thread. And I mean, I am an under thread person myself, but you can take an over thread if you want and basically make it disappear. Now I'm just going to take this now, because I'm not going to do it all the way down, and hold those 2 pieces together. Now this is very essential. You go back close to where you just were and take it through this and pull it. And what you're going to do is you're going to work your way back up, and when you're doing this, you're basically going to stay on your first stitch to pull all this together. because when you go to do this, that thread's going to disappear. So take it up there. Now, see what that did right there? How that made that right there? Okay, and then we're just going to take another one over. This is making your pleats. This is making your pleats. Now, like I said, you're going to go back to where we started from. Okay, so you're seriously overlapping just a little bit, kind of like bring it even to each other, because that's what you want to do, is bring your stitch even, or your fabric even, because we're still going to go on the back again. Bring it through. Because you're just pulling all this together. You are just pulling all this together. Now, I used to make Barbie dolls, or Barbie clothes for my daughter's dolls, and I used to make swimsuits and little dresses for them and hand paint the dresses. So we would have little one-of-a-kind dresses, and it's a shame their dad threw away all their Barbie dresses. And then again, make another one. And you see how that's coming together right there? You can also use this for sleeving. But I'll show you, like, at the end part of this, how we just pull it together in the back to make it very, very more secured, but in the back. Or you can consider this part to be the back and then flip it. Which you could do. Like I said, you're going to use a matching thread for this. And I really hope that this is helping you out, Beth. I know, like, when you sent that request, I was so thrilled. Like, okay, somebody's requesting me to do something. Finally, everybody else gets that. Finally, I did. Anyway. And you know what, that's cool, because it actually makes the community stronger. It just shows you. Okay, if you saw what I did right there, I'm going to repeat that, because you want to repeat that anyway. You're going to take this through all of those. Take your needle through all of them. And it's going to secure it. You're going to think, well, I don't know. Trust me, this is going to secure it. I started sewing when I was in grade school, and at one point in my life I became a custom clothing designer. I was a head custom clothing designer in Illinois when I was a teenager, and you know, I've never given up on sewing. Had a different sewing. You know what? I will tell you this. I had worked with one of those old Singer sewing machines before, the one with the push pedal. Always found that was fun. You guys may be like, what? Yeah. I thought it was kind of cool. And cut that knot. Okay. So like this is one side of it. Right, from doing that, and then this is the other side of it. So like basically your stitches have disappeared, so you could say this is the front of it. So basically your stitches have disappeared. They basically disappeared on the side, but not as much as what I did here. I think I probably did it better here, like hiding your stitch in every one of these. I hid the stitches a lot better in this one. I really did. So it really takes a lot of practice to do this, but you know, once you get into sewing and you get the hang of it, it becomes easier over time. And I really hoped, not hoped, I really hope that this helped you out today, because now you see how you can do that by hand and make the stitching disappear basically, because you can also do a bodice tape over that. Yes, I said bodice tape, and I don't have any, but I can make some out of fabric. You can always make bodice tape out of fabric. You have to cut, or people call it bias, because you actually cut on the bias, the stretch. And like I said, you know, basically working with your whip stitch, you might have a little bit of this, but it's not really going to matter much. I have to get used to these glasses. I've been taking them off, let my eyes rest a little bit, and then put them back on. You know, my eyes are going to relax. I was told I have to give my right eye a few days to adjust to this lens. If it doesn't adjust, come back in, and they'll look at the lens compared to my eye and see if they accidentally read the prescription wrong. And I still have the prescription, so I'm not worried about that. You know why? Because I showed you how to do that, and I really hope that helps you out. Really do hope that helps you out, because scrap fabric, you know, sometimes it can make you happy, definitely make you, well, it's not going to make you healthy, maybe cheer you up in your day, but you know, stay healthy, because it gives you something positive to focus on. Stay positive, definitely. Because we're doing positive things here. And thank you for the request, Beth. Like I said, Beth Raz has been with my channel for a very long time, and you know, thank you, Beth, for staying on with my channel since, you know, I should say since the beginning of my second channel, which is the one I don't have access to, but you know, and then she came over here once she realized I restarted. So that was actually the one that I don't have access to, is actually my second, and this one's my third. My original one, they wouldn't allow me to keep my videos without paying for it. I'm not paying for that. Anyway. And if you had seen those videos compared to what I look like now, you'd be like, dang. Big change. Big change. Like, change. Yeah, that's what I used to feel. But, oh, I did. And I'm glad it came off. And it's still coming off slowly. It's my thyroid. I have thyroid issues. But we're not going into that. You know why? Because like I said, you can stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive, and as always, stay blessed, because I didn't get to that part. So that's total outro. And hopefully you guys will return next time, and I hope you enjoyed this. And like I said, thank you, Beth, and go check out the other channels that I said. You might have fun with them too. Like I said, Morgan, she does great medieval costume work and corsets. Oh my gosh, it has me inspired for making my own corset. I have to make my corset. My back is really bothering me. But I don't let it get me down. You know why? Because I'll be back. I'll be back. See you guys soon.